All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josette Dubois. I'm the Adult Programs Librarian for the Slover Library. Welcome to tonight's program of Where is the Data in Your Neighborhood? I'm joined by several other folks from Norfolk who are going to be going over various aspects of our open data and other ways of finding out the data about the various cities and locations here in Norfolk. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our very first presenter, who is Pamela Marino. Are you ready, Pamela?
I am ready. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. My name is Pamela Marino. I work in Civic Lab. I'm a program manager there. And so I'm going to start off by just talking a little bit about what data is. And then I'm going to share with you some insights into our open data portal. So first, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Y'all looking at a PowerPoint presentation? I'm going to count on Josette to tell me if I'm going wrong. Okay, great. All right, so again, we're the City of Norfolk. We're here talking about Norfolk Data, which is actually the name of our citywide data program. So some of you may, let's see, let's get this to move forward. Okay, some of you may wonder, what is data? I mean, we all sort of think we know what it is, but what is it in the context of this? So we envision it that it's all information that's recorded for reference and analysis. And the city's data is all the pieces of information that we record during our business processes. So this is a little bit of an eye chart here, but it does show all the different parts of the city that generate data that we're interested in sharing with the public. So what is open data, which is the particular program I'm going to talk about? It's data that's gathered by the city that can be used, repurposed, and distributed by anyone without restriction. The other point is that it's anything that can be FOIA, that can be put into the open data portal. If you're not familiar with FOIA, it's the Freedom of Information Act. And that basically means that the data that we generate with a few exceptions is open to the public to view. It's your data, you're paying for it. And so in the past, you used to have to send a FOIA request in to get data, but now we're hoping to make data more available to you just on a day-to-day basis. Here's some open data by the numbers. Our portal officially opened in April of 2018. We have 44 data sets in the portal, and we add more data sets frequently. So now we're going to jump right to the portal. I will say that here, this is a data page that's on our website, and that page just actually talks about, has a fun video about what is open data and talks about the city's data program. But in the interest of time, I'm going to jump right to the portal, which is here. Okay, so this is the opening, or the home page of the open data portal. We have a lot of fun pictures on here. We're trying to change them seasonally, but I'm pretty impressed with our photography. So the portal is where we store all the data that we make available to the public.
A participant has joined the meeting.
So first I want to talk to you about some resources that are available to you, because although we're here teaching you about this, you may leave here and think, well, gee, I wish I could remember how to do so-and-so or something. So here, if you click on the resources tab, you'll see a welcome video. That's about 2 minutes long. I recommend that you watch that. It sort of gives you another overview of what the portal is. Also, there's tutorials. These are more in-depth tutorials about how to analyze data. So if you're ready to go to the next level, I recommend that you click there. So let's talk about the big picture of what the portal offers. So we have, as I said, 44 data sets, which we're going to get to in a minute. We also have stories that help explain the data sets. And somebody else in this program is going to talk much more about our stories. So I'm not going to dig into that. But we do have these data sets, and if you click here on the data sets, you will see an alphabetical list of all the data sets that we have. So you could scroll through these to figure out what data sets you might be interested in, or you could look over here at different categories that we have: education, environment, government, maps, or permits. That might also help you narrow down what you're looking for. But let's go back to the home page, and I'll show you a few other features on this home page. This is a search bar where you can just search for something very similar to a website. These are, again, categories of information that we have. And then these tabs on the bottom, public safety, real estate, employee and budget information, city services, these are sort of buckets that we thought might be of most interest to our citizens. So we put stuff in there. So there's many different ways you can find what you're looking for. Down here is featured content. So we have a link to the state's open data portal. We work closely with the state. We have coronavirus information. And again, this is the welcome video that I encourage you to watch when you have a moment. And then here's more dashboards and data stories, which we'll learn about later on. So let's go back up to our search bar. Let's say you're really interested to know what's happening at the animal care center. You're not sure what it's called, so you're just going to start typing animal care center, and it actually pops up some options that you have. So we're going to go to this one, which is the data set, and we're going to click on it. Okay, now this is called the primer page of the data set, and this gives you the overview of what you're looking at. So this little description here explains what the animal care center is. And it talks about what the data is reporting on. It reports on the animal from the moment it arrives at the shelter to the moment it leaves. And it reports on foster activities. And this is important. It tells you how often it's updated. This data is updated monthly. Over here, you can see who gave us the data, when it was last updated. Here's some other featured things, stories and dashboards that use the data that's pulled directly from here. And here under attachments, this is called metadata worksheets. Really what this is just extra information about what's in this data set. So if you really want to drill down, you might click on the worksheet, or to learn more about the data fields, etc. And this is a nice feature. If you really have a question, you can click on this button and you can email the data set owner, which is Jennifer Held here, and ask her a specific question. And this is an overview of the data that you'll find in there. These are the data fields, and here's a preview. But let's just go right to the data. So we're going to go to View Data. And this is going to give us all of the data that is in this data set. And you'll see that we actually have, it shows every animal that's entered, the activity of every animal that's come into the data set. So you can see here we have more than 29,000 entries. That's a lot. So you can sort in various ways. You can, like an Excel spreadsheet, you can sort the column options. So if you want to sort animal names, you can see a bunch of animal names. Now they're in alpha order. You could also sort by the animal type. So you can see that birds are the first one that come up. But let's say you're really interested in knowing more about cats. You want to filter this down in the easiest way possible. So you're going to go here to filter, and then you're going to add some filter conditions. So we're going to add a filter condition. Now it's important when you're adding these conditions that you follow the capitalization rules that are that's capitalization sensitive. So you've got to follow what's here in the portal. So let's say we want to look for cats. Make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so animal type is, and then we see that it's initial cap and the rest is small, so cat. Okay, and then so now it's going to give us, it's sorted out, it's taken out about a little more than half of the data points, and now we have all the cats. But let's say I also want to see calico cats, because that's my favorite kind of cat. So I'm going to look at primary color. Let's find it down here. And it's going to be, now here you see it's all caps. So we're going to follow that. Oops, late in the day, I'm not spelling right. Calico, there we go. And I'm going to add that filter condition. Come on. And here it is. So now you can see we have 334 data points that we can look through. And at this point, if we wanted to know what happened to every calico cat that ever came into the animal care center based on the data that we have, we could follow it through. So when did it come in? What was the type? What was the subtype? And the outcome, etc. So you can do this with any data set. You can sort it in a bunch of different ways. The other thing you can do is if you're really interested in playing with this data and analyzing it on your own and not working through the portal, you can export it. So you just click here. And most of us are familiar with Excel. You would click that and it actually, see if it comes up here. It turns it into an Excel spreadsheet for you, which you can then download on your own and have to work with later. So we talked about some data stories. You'll hear more from Michelle, but I do want to say that we are making an effort to make a data story around every data set that we put into the portal because it helps provide context around the data. So in this case, let's back up a little bit. And back up one more. And you'll see that we had the data set. It says they're a data set. We've also have the NICC is the acronym for it. We have a chart, a couple charts, and we actually have two data stories that talk about the data that help explain the data that's in this data set. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm not going to dig into these stories because again, Michelle is going to explain that to you. I do want to say one last thing about the portal. We have something called Request a Data Set, a button called Request a Data Set. So if you are particularly interested in a data set that you don't see here, you can click that button and send an email to our team basically saying what sort of data set that you are interested in. And we'll answer you and we'll either add it to our list or tell you that we're working on it or whatever the update is. So I think that is it. I'm going to hand that off to Michelle to talk more about data stories.
Hi, everyone. I am Michelle Washington. I work in the city's communications office, and I work very closely with the open data team. And part of my mission is to make sure people are hearing us, getting our message. So I am thrilled that you are all here tonight to talk with us and to learn about open data. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see. We should be back to the home page. Can everybody show me? Thank you, Josette. I appreciate that. So Pamela mentioned before, we have these tiles to make it easy to find various things in the open data portal. So the stories, this is my favorite one because this is where I go the most often on the open data portal. So we're going to click on it. And part of the reason we're hosting this chat tonight is to let you know about all the kinds of data that is in your neighborhood. That's why it's called Where is the Data in Your Neighborhood? So one of the first stories I wrote for the Open Data Portal was about that topic. If you live in Norfolk and you want to find out just about anything at all about your area, where you live, we have a data set that applies to it in the Open Data Portal. So I tried to put all of those things in one place to make it easy for you to find and make it easy for you to get to that data. So it begins with the introduction. We have these tools to learn about information about your street, your neighborhood, and your community. And one of the most powerful tools that we have is called the Address Information Resource. So there's a handy link to the information resource in this story. When you click on it, just as Pamela showed you a moment ago, you will get to the data set. And the data set itself is a table, again, and it's sortable and searchable, just like every data set that's in here. I can move this out. And if you just want to look for your own address, you could type in, I'm going to type in the address for City Hall. And you can see here, 810 Union Street is City Hall. And if you scroll over through all of the fields, you can see all of the information that's about 810 Union Street in this portal. So it will show you the precinct name, the polling station, what super ward it is, House and Senate districts, your council person, your civic league. You can find just about anything you can imagine, your closest library, your closest park, your closest elementary school. So I'm going to go back to the story. So that's a pretty handy way to look for it. You can just type in there, but we've also tried to make it really easy for you to see that information too. So you can see that this map is covered up in dots right now, but if I go to this filter and I type in 810 Union Street here, it will show me just 810 Union Street. This is City Hall. And if I hover over it, you can see just the information for that one address. So say you live in Bayview and you want to type in your address on Bayview Boulevard, you can see for your own address, but you can also see the other dots that are around here. So I'm going to continue through the story. We also feature parks and playgrounds in this data set. So if you click there, you get to the data set that shows you all of the parks and playgrounds in the city. And again, you can look at that by location or address so that you can find out what is the one that's closest to you. And we have that sorted, we have this in an easy to use map as well. So I live up near Ocean View. So I want to see what are all these maps, what are all these dots of parks and playgrounds and recreational facilities out in Ocean View. Just hover over the dot. Just like with other maps, if you need to move it around, you click and hold and drag it down a little bit. So you can see there's a park and playground amenities out on Willoughby Spit. If you want to drag down to the south side of the city, you can see down here, canoes and kayak launches. So we also thought that folks in our neighborhoods might be interested in public safety and code enforcement. So you can easily find links to those data sets in this section of the story. Neighborhood quality, we know that our residents are really interested in what's going on in their neighborhoods. So tall weeds and grass is one of the most common complaints to our Norfolk Care Center, both through the online portal and through calls. So if you click on that map, it will show you across the city tall weed and grass complaints. But again, let's say you just want to know what it looks like for your civic league. So I mentioned Bayview earlier. So let's try Bayview Civic League. And it will show you just for that one area of the city, each of these green dots represents a complaint. And then finally, we thought folks might want to know information that affects how they get into and out of their neighborhood, if they see construction going on, and their assessment data. So the road closure permits data set shows you, can you expect to see orange cones in your neighborhood? Permits and inspections will tell you, has anybody applied for a building permit or an inspection in your neighborhood? And then assessment data. I think we need to update for the 2020 data. So we'll have the 2019 data in here, and this would be useful. Let's say you're thinking about selling your house, you're thinking about buying a house. You can find all of that information in this data set. Every data set in our portal concludes with this phrase, "We are so glad you're here." It is always true. We are putting this data out for our residents to use, and we want you to come here. Just be curious, check it out, poke around, ask us a question, leave us a note, and check out all of the other data sets that are in our portal. And again, I thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, I'm Michelle Washington, and I am with the City Communications Office. So I am going to unshare and pass it back to Pamela.
Thanks, Michelle. Actually, now I'm just going to toss it to Mike Salvador, who's going to drill down into what Norfolk Air can offer for us.
All right, let's see. All right, just making sure everybody can see this. All right, Norfolk Air. What is Norfolk Air? AIR stands for Address Information Resource. The way to get to it is pretty easy. It's air.norfolk.gov. And a little background information about Norfolk Air. Norfolk Air was the brainchild of the city's GIS team over a decade ago. We got together and we wanted a website which was a one-stop shop for getting all the information that the city has for one parcel. So we just came up with a website that anybody can type in any address in the city of Norfolk and get everything that you need to know. So this right here, what you see here is actually the third iteration of Norfolk Air. The previous two were created in-house. This one, we worked with a company, Spacelist, and they helped us develop this. But as far as the data, it's the same data that we've been displaying since the first iteration, the second iteration. So what you see here is a simple Google-esque type page with a single search box. So what I'm going to do here is go through the most common way that somebody would use this site. So I'll just go in and type in an address. So when you see me type in an address, you notice that it'll start offering you suggestions. What you want to do is let this search bar do the work for you. What it's actually doing is once you start typing in numbers or street names, it's actually going through databases, searching databases, and trying to figure out what you're trying to search for. So what I'm trying to search for is 2954 Mapleton Avenue. So you can see I only typed in MA and Mapleton Avenue shows up. So a couple things about this search bar. You want to make sure that you don't use abbreviations such as RD for road. You want to spell out road. You don't need to put in Norfolk. You don't need to put in VA or your zip code or anything like that. So let's go to Mapleton Avenue and I can show you what you'll see on the property record card. Up at the top, you'll see your tax account number, the assessed value of the house or the property, and the address. The box on the left is a picture of the house. You have an arrow here to scroll through the pictures. You can get building sketches as well. On the right side is a map of the property. This map right here is interactive. And you can zoom in, zoom out, and look around. You can see up here is a layer list. So you can turn layers on and off. A lot of people like looking at aerial photos, so you can turn on aerial photos. You can see we have multiple years for that. We also have this little feature here next to the layers. This is a transparency feature, so you can slide it on and off. And you can see that it fades the imagery. Other layers that we have zoning layers, so you can turn on the zoning to get zoning information. Conditional zones, conditional use permits, Chesapeake Bay preservation areas. We also have flood insurance information here. Okay. The next section down here, the links bar. This is how you get to the information about this property. You want to get to real estate information, click this bar right here, and it'll bring you to the real estate information, tax account number, the owner's name, property, GPIN, things like that. You want to go to sales, you want to see sales value history, click on this. And you'll get the sales history, assessment history. Planning information, click on the planning bar or planning link. It'll bring you to the planning section. And then we also have more information here. So you want to look at municipal services. You want to know when your trash pickup day is, Tuesday, when the next recycle day is. There it is right there. You don't have to rely on your neighbor, to tell you when your trash or when your recycle day is. School information here. Public safety. Civic league or civic information, polling sites, what ward you're in, who the representatives are, your civic league information, where your civic league meets and the meeting time, things like that. If there are building permits, it'll show up here, and of course none, and code enforcement would be shown up here. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that this site is also compatible with mobile devices. So you can look this up on your iPhone, on your Android phone. One thing about mobile devices is that you don't have this nifty scroll bar here, so you have to use your finger to swipe up. But what we added is this cool little up arrow. So if you're on a mobile device and you don't feel like scrolling up, just click on this up arrow, bring you to the top. The next section we have here is we call these the external links. Some of these links take you off the site, but like for example, Street View. If you want to see Street View of that property, click on this, and it'll bring you to the Google Street View. We have an all imagery button here, and it's a 4-panel view, aerial photo view of the property. These images are connected, so you pan here, pan on one, they all move. Zoom in on one, they all zoom in. You can change the year if you want to do a comparison between 1999 and 2018 or 2006. You can change the years. We also have a lot of people like looking at a bigger map, so you can click on Go to Map. And in this view, you can do several things that you can't do on the map on the previous screen. You can measure by line, click and drag and double click, and it'll give you the measurements for the line. You can also measure by polygon. So if you want to just do a quick polygon, it'll give you square footage. And that's pretty much it for the property record card. A lot of people, what they like doing with this is printing. So we asked for a print function here, and it'll basically print out everything that you see on that property record card. A lot of people don't need every single piece of information, so we made it possible for you to toggle sections on and off, so you can save paper if you only want the planning section or the municipal section. You don't have to go and print out the whole report. So, and up here, you can see that we have a help guide. So there are tons of other features in this Norfolk Air application that I didn't go over, but it should be all in this help guide. So you can go through here. Another thing that Jim Herbs created for us was a YouTube quick course video. So on the help guide, just scroll down to this this quick course video and watch that for more information. And we also have a FAQ, frequently asked questions. So a lot of the a lot of the questions that we have coming through Norfolk Air is that I can't find my property. So what we've created is a FAQ to help you find your property or any kind of additional information that you need about that property. So go through that as well. And that's pretty much all I have for this. So if you run into any issues with using Norfolk Air, just click this contact us link and it'll send an email straight to us and we'll get to your email as soon as we can. And that's pretty much it for me.
Okay, so I'm up next and I'm going to be going over the city data page. This is Josette again, so let me go ahead and grab the presenter role and share my screen. All right, so hopefully everybody should see the norfolk.gov webpage. To find the city data, you just scroll all the way down to the bottom of norfolk.gov, and over here on the transparency side, you see the Norfolk City Data link. So we go ahead and click to that, and that's going to open up this page here. This is kind of a hub for a lot of different links and data sets. So you see here we have some of the stuff we've talked about earlier tonight. We have Norfolk Air, Norfolk GIS, and the Norfolk Open Data Portal. So these links will take you right to those locations. Here's that welcome video that was discussed earlier. We also have some city dashboards, the Capital Improvement Plan dashboard, Diversity dashboard, Revenue and Expenditure Summary dashboard, and the COVID-19 Impact dashboard. These links will tell you about some of the various awards. And then we have external data from outside of the city. We have the Open Data Portal for the Commonwealth of Virginia, Virginia's fiscal and demographic data. So we have these here hyperlinks. That's where you'll click to get to those. Census data underneath, census APIs, census data sets that can be downloaded, quick census facts about Norfolk. So we've got 2 links here. Geography files and shapefiles are underneath here. And then to download geography files with demographic or economic data, we have this link right here. Weather and tide data, the Virginia Institute of Marine Science Tide Watch maps. We'll click right there for that. And then the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration data. So we've got that these links provide portals into their data sets and visualizations, including climate, tide, and map data. So the NOAA data sets and visualizations by category, click there. And for the maps and geospatial products, we'll click here. Historical weather and climate data here. And historical, current, and predicted tide and water level data is right there. Then we have the UVA Cooper Center data. So we're looking at economic and tax data here, demographic data here. And then for the state of Virginia, for their fiscal and demographic data, we'll click here. The FEMA data here, and the FEMA flood map underneath. The city health dashboard. So this shows the population health dashboard for Norfolk, as well as a comparison to other cities. So that link is there. The Opportunity Atlas. This is an interactive map showing economic, mobility, and demographic data. And then the Waze data. So this is a live Waze map showing the traffic and road incident data. So this is a nice place to go if you're in the car and traveling. And then our external partners, What Works Cities, the Sunlight Foundation, GovX at Johns Hopkins University, and the Government Performance Lab at Harvard University. So a lot of links, a lot of information on this page. So I would recommend that you just go when you have some time and see what information is here that might be of interest to you. Okay, and so that is the Norfolk City data page. And now we're going to open it to some question and answers. So let me go ahead and stop sharing here. All right, and so we had at least one question I saw in the chat. First question is there a way to search crime data within a civic league boundary rather than by areas surrounding a certain address or landmark? We used to be able to do that, but the new crime mapping portal doesn't allow for that type of search anymore. Who'd like to tackle that question?
I will tackle that. Actually, I have to look at it. Let me share my screen and we can look for it together. All right, so one. Okay. All right, so the interest was in crime. Let's go to the home page, go down here to public safety. So we do have a link to crime mapping, I guess that's what you're saying is that you're not interested in that. So we also have active warrants, arrest reports, and incident reports. So is the question about incident reports, if you can search incidents by Civic League?
Yes. Is there a way to search crime data within a Civic League boundary?
Okay, so there's kind of two separate ways here. We've got the arrest reports, which is actually folks that are arrested, and then incident reports. So let's go there, and this is over 5 years. View data. And so you can search by the block address and the street, the date of occurrence, the track, zone, district, neighborhood in some cases. We do not have here the Civic League. And I think part of the reason for that is that we have found that Civic League sometimes they're a little bit squishy, the definition of them. But I'm going to actually, who said, is this Jim? Maybe Jim, can you chime in here and say how you help people with that? I'm going to unshare now because I'm not seeing it here. Let's see.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim. I recognize a few of you. I don't have an immediate answer to your question. I know that because I know the question very well. There used to be the old crime mapping system. You used to be able to go there and pull out Civic League information directly. And I don't see that on the new one. I believe the company that used to provide that bought out and there was some kind of change. And so the new company doesn't provide that. So I think that's the answer, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
So did we get an email address with that question? Because we can look into the best way to search crime by Civic League.
Not yet, but okay, I do have the email right now. So I'll go ahead and make sure that everybody has that. And we will get that answer to your question as soon as we can. The next question that came in was, what is a shapefile? Who would like to answer that?
Okay, and Jezza, I'm having a hard time unsharing. So let's see if I can, let me unshare. Sorry, there we go. Okay, did it. Let's see, Mike, why don't you answer the question about the shapefile?
Sure. A shapefile is a GIS file, sort of like, what would be a good way to describe it? It's sort of like a Word file for Microsoft Word. Shapefile is basically the GIS file for a GIS software. Basically shows points, lines, and polygons, and things like that, and data behind that.
Okay, I hope that answered the question. If not, let us know. Addie, I see that you have your hand raised. Did you want to speak your question rather than typing it? Okay, I'll go ahead and unmute you. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
Oh, you're unmuted already. Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know how to write to the chat. So anyway, my question is, we have several, what do you call it, subdivision in our neighborhood. How could I find out on the streets in each subdivision?
No, no.
You faded out a little bit. I think the question was, how do you find out all the streets that are in your subdivision? Is that right? Is anybody, Mike, do you have an answer to that one? Or is Rebecca on the call, our GIS folks?
What was the question again?
I think the question was, how do you find out all the streets in your subdivision? But Addie, is that right?
Sorry, my screen started circling. But anyway, yes, we have like 7 subdivisions. How can we find out the streets in each?
I misread. I think I can answer that, Pamela. So if
Thanks,
you work
Jim.
with, you're welcome. So if you work with Zamari, we can, I think I know what you're talking about. I could be wrong. But for instance, the neighborhood signs are all based on the subdivision. So you'll see the maps that you'll find on the city's websites are all based on civic leagues, not the subdivisions. So when we do the neighborhood signs, we do them based on, or they were initially based around 2007 on a lot of the subdivisions. So you won't find a map that has that, but if you go to the surveys office, you can find that information. Or I think the real estate assessor's office might have it. But in normal
surveys or planning department would probably be the best two to go to for that information for subdivisions for street names.
But Zamari can help you with that. I can work with Zamari to get you that information.
All right, does anyone else have any questions that they would like answered? Feel free to put them in the chat, or you can.
I think, Jim, do you have Ms. Red's phone number that you guys can talk tomorrow? Because I think her computer's fading out.
Yes, I just saw her Monday. She's the Civic League president for Ingleside. So yes, we can, I'll work with Zamari to get her what she needs.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Red, we're having a hard time hearing you, so Jim will get in touch with you later. Thanks. All right. Sorry, Josette.
Oh, no worries. So we have a related question that just came in. Is there a mapping for each data dictionary element to its possible values? For example, the incident database has a zone field. Is there a related database that lists the zones and their attributes?
Let's see. So these zones, I believe these are planning district zones, but what we can do is go to the metadata worksheets and look it up. So let's see. We used to be able to know everything about every data set, but as they've grown, it's getting a little bit more complicated. All right, so we're going to open a data set field and see what this is. And Jim thinks it's a police zone. So let's see, zone says, exactly, denotes the city of Norfolk Police Car District where the offense occurred. And then these are police car districts. So there's a map here. And that's in the metadata worksheets that I downloaded from the incident report off of the Open Data Portal.
And they ask, so can you map car district to a geolocation?
Okay, that's I got to toss that to my GIS people. Rebecca or Mike?
That is in the police data set for incidents. It is not an exact location. So you cannot, you can go to the block of the incident, but you will not know the exact location. So you could do a overlay. We can get your information, work with you about how to display information on the Open Data Portal to see the information you're looking for.
One thing you can do is if you have the block information, you can do a search for that in Norfolk Air, and then scroll down to the public safety section and get the police car districts that way.
Okay, they're satisfied with that answer. Does anyone else have a question that you'd like to ask? You can either ask it in the chat, or if you'd like to speak, you can raise your hand so that I know that we'd like to unmute you. While we're waiting for that, does anyone from the panel have any final thoughts that we'd like to leave?
I just want to reiterate what you said earlier, that this will be recorded. And so once we get it posted, I believe we have your email addresses from when you registered, so we can send you the link if you'd like to watch it again or share it with other people. And we'll also include information about contact information for us. And also, Michelle and I are going to be working very soon to do a data story that basically illustrates with words and photographs exactly what I just went through. So depending on how you learn, you can watch a video or you could read the story. So we're trying to get a lot of different resources out there to help folks navigate the portal.
And because I'm a communications person, I just want to tell you all, tell a friend. Go out and tell everybody that the City of Norfolk has this information available. It's data.norfolk.gov. It's super easy to find. You can find it from the City of Norfolk's homepage, or you can go directly to the portal at data.norfolk.gov.
We did have a question just come in asking, how come you did not scramble the owners' names in Norfolk Air?
That was a decision made by the real estate assessor's office. It's public information, so we have to put it out there.
Right. And we've actually had that conversation even with our city attorney, and he has said, you know, bottom line is this is one of the most public pieces of information is real estate. So you can get this information in a variety of ways. So people do not, you can't really not have your name attached with real estate that you have purchased or you own.
Any other questions that people would like, do feel free to put them in the chat. Did anyone else from the panel have any other thoughts that they wanted to give? I know we're a bit ahead of time, but you know, if we don't have questions, we certainly can end early. But anyone else have any final thoughts that they'd like to share with the group? We did get the comment that a lot of unwanted solicitation is received by homeowners. That's true. I'm a homeowner myself, and I'm getting all kinds of solicitation for me to sell my house, in which I say no, thank you, and I throw it away.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Josette, thank you for putting this on. I did want to say that it's really a partnership with Josette leading the way. Slover has done a lot of adult programming, and we're really grateful that you've let us be a part of it. Use your resources to reach out to the community about our data program. And I think that this will probably be the first of many of these events coming up, if you'll have us.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can certainly do this and other programs in the future, and we hope that everyone would be willing to come to those. If there isn't anything else, I'll go ahead and end with my little plug for the library programs. So perhaps some of you found us through Eventbrite, perhaps some of you found us through our website. Sloverlibrary.com is going to have our calendar of programs that we have for all ages. We've got things happening, you know, several times each month for the various ages. We have things like this. We also have videos that we've pre-done. So I encourage all of you to take a look at all of our offerings at sloverlibrary.com. I hope to see folks in future programs. either live or having you view us on the website. And so I believe that wraps us up for the evening. Thank you so much to everyone and have a great night.
Thanks a lot. Good night.